Oh! The World and Time, Doctor Who Series 10, Episode 11. Wow. Okay. Spoilers, all the spoilers coming up. I'm going to get pretty much my one and only major criticism of this thing out of the way because it is not the fault of this episode. And that is, I really wish that the return of John Sim as the Master, and to me, more importantly, the presence of Mondasian Cybermen had not been known ahead of the airing of this episode. I wish that so much because, especially given that the Mondas reveal is literally in the last 5 minutes of this episode, I really wish that I could have experienced that slow realization that fans of classic Doctor Who could have just started to realize. Because first you would have just seen, the stockings over the heads, and maybe that wouldn't have been enough. Later you see the nose holes, and you start going, wait a minute. And then when Missy mentions Twin Planet, you go, oh my God, that's what it should have been. And it wasn't, because we had already known the Mondasian Cybermen were coming back. I mean, even before the next time on Doctor Who that was at the tail end of the last episode, we knew back in March it got announced that the Mondasian Cybermen were coming back. And that's not necessarily BBC's fault. I'm sure part of the reason that they did that is the same reason that they are probably never going to do what I really want them to do with the regeneration, which is to not tell us who is cast and just to have the Doctor regenerate and we find out when it happens. I don't expect that to ever happen because this stuff is impossible to keep quiet anymore. There's too many ways it can leak, from the set, if nothing else. Even if you keep the casting secret and everything else, from the set, everybody has a phone in their pocket. Somebody will snap a picture of, a Mondasian Cyberman, just moving between sets. Something. We would have known. So in an effort to not have, those sorts of things spoiled, I think these sorts of things tend to spoil themselves just because they figure it's inevitable anyway. And I wish that wasn't the case. It kind of is. But setting that aside, wow, this is a really great episode. There is so much I love about this. First of all, this is practically a Dr. Light episode. I mean, he barely appears, but oh my God, this is so, I don't even know where to start. There's so much I love about this. All right, Missy. I love the whole feel and vibe of Missy trying to be the Doctor. The way she says lines, her attitude, that you still get that edge of danger. I believe Bill when Bill says, I'm scared of her. And yet, at the same time, she's mockingly trying to do the Doctor. I love that dynamic, and I said it before, and now I'm gonna wish it all the more. I wish that we could have almost a full series of Missy and Capaldi, her being his companion. Oh God, that would be so amazing. And having it for this one episode, if nothing else, is awesome and fantastic. But God, I wish we were going to get more of it because it's so good. What else? Okay, John Sim. First of all, the character of Mr. Razor, I loved. Like, pretty much immediately I loved him. I loved his way of speaking, his way of processing information, the little quirks of his ways of sort of thinking and relaying information. I loved his dynamic with Bill, loved all of that, and I didn't see John Sim behind that the wrinkles and the beard and the hat. I didn't see him at all. Like, to the point, I went online and did a tiny bit of research. And if you know anything, if you listen to my podcast, I hate research. But I wanted to confirm that was really him, right? I wanted to confirm for sure because I still felt like that could have been another actor. And it was just him for the reveal. It was like, nope, that was him. My God. And like I said, the whole thing with the Mondas and the slow reveal as the pieces fall into place. Again, ruined by the fact that we already knew it was going to be Mondas, but still, holy cow. And also with Bill, oh man. So when she got blasted through the chest, they did. And here's another thing. I thought one thing at the time that initially happened and then it softened on it. So initially when she got blasted through the chest, I was like, oh my God. I thought they might actually kill her right then and there. And actually, I think I'm not going to say I necessarily wish this would happen like with the next companion or whatever, but I think at some point we need a companion to die, for lack of a better term, unspectacularly. I think at some point we need to lose a companion suddenly. Not they know it's coming, not it's a big sacrifice, not, it's a decision that they make or whatever, just something goes wrong, they're gone. And I thought we were going to get this with this. Now, when she initially woke up, my first thought was, oh, you didn't have the guts to go through with it. But then, with the way, her dynamic with Mr. Racer and all that, I was loving that so much. I was like, I will forgive you for not going through with that and going with this, because this is really good and really cool. And sort of using her. And this, bringing back the Mondes Cybermen was something, as a concept, I was interested in, but also somewhat cautious about it, because I was afraid it was going to be gimmicky. But they do such a good job of doing what that very first incarnation of the Cybermen did so well, which is freaking creepy. They are so creepy, and just these tiny little things, like the fact that the nurse goes and you think she adjusts things so that prototype Cyberman isn't feeling pain anymore, and then you realize all she did was turn down the volume so she doesn't have to listen to the fact that he's in pain anymore. And these roundabout solutions, because these people, the Mondasians do believe, like, we have to do this. We are going to die if we don't do this. And it will be a horrible existence, but we're going to make the best that we can out of it. So this whole idea of, like, here's this headpiece, it won't make the pain go away, but you'll stop caring about it. So it's like, we can't actually make this existence anything other than horrific, but we can sort of trick your brain into being okay with how horrible this is going to be. Oh, that is so creepy, and this, they were able to recreate that insanely just creepy look. And the thing about the Mondes Cybermen originally is that they are kind of cheesy. It is a bit of a hokey costume, but there was something so creepy, and they updated it just enough where it loses the hokiness, but it kept all the creepy, and that's good. Because Cybermen stories can be very up and down. I think they have, well, I was going to say they have been in the modern era. I think they were even with classic Who. They really could go either way. They weren't always the best stories. And I think in some ways, the longer Cybermen stuck around, the less the show kind of knew what to do with them. And I think that happened in the classic series. I think we were seeing that happen here. But here they went back to the basics. They went back to the original, like, this concept is freaking creepy. Let's make it creepy again. And yes, they did. And there's just so many other just tiny little things. The whole idea of the time moving different because one end of the ship is closer to the black hole than the other. That's really clever. That's awesome. I love that Missy called Nardole and Bill exposition and comic relief. I love Missy. I really, really do. You know what? Aside from the fact that we already knew that Mondes was going to be turning up in this, the one other thing that I don't love was that we opened on the Doctor appearing to regenerate. I just don't like that as a storytelling device when a story basically, that has to start slower, basically. The first thing they give you is something that happens way later, basically to be like, see, here's the exciting stuff that's coming, now here's our slower start. It's like, you don't need to do that. And that's just kind of me. I don't like that as a storytelling device. I hesitate to call it a device. It's a shortcut. It's a cheat. It's a very transparent hook, and I don't like it, and I wish the show hadn't done it. But again, that's a tiny nitpick. So like my only issues are that and something that is not the fault of this episode. It's just, it's the world of Doctor Who and the release of information. But other than that, wow. Now, the last time that a second to last episode of a series got me this excited was Heaven Sent. And I got followed up with Hellbent. So I'm really hoping they can stick the landing on this one, because this is a really strong lead-in to a finale, and I'm going to be really curious as to the logistics of how John Sim as the Master works and why Missy doesn't remember. I figure we're going to get one of a couple things. We're going to have to account for some degree of memory messing with, or like something has gone wrong with time, and they're going to have to integrate that. So I'm not sure what the case is. I'm curious as to the logistics of that. cautious about how John Sim's going to work, because if you haven't seen some of my older videos, I'm kind of 50-50 on John Sim. I liked him much better when he came back for The End of Time than when he was in Series 3 with The Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Was. I didn't like him in that nearly as much. So it's not clear at this point which he's gonna lean more towards. We haven't really seen enough yet. He's together enough that I have a feeling it's gonna lean more towards that original appearance. But, you know, again, I don't want to knock John Sim, because John Sim's Mr. Racer was freaking awesome. But I'm just sort of expressing my like I said, this is so good, it makes me very nervous to see the next episode, because I'm really afraid that you know, when you've got a first half that's this good, that it's really hard to stick the landing and have the conclusion match what you've already given us. And I really, really, really hope it does. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Holy cow, that was good. That was really good. So what were your thoughts on World Enough in Time? Whatever they were, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check me out on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Give a listen to the Council of Geeks podcast. I am also one half of the Punch Like a Girl podcast. Both of those are available on iTunes and Stitcher. And until next time, this council is adjourned.